Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Sunday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Rate, review, subscribe, iTunes especially. We appreciate all of those who have done so already. If you haven't, get on over there. Look, get on over there. We're not asking you to lie. So if you don't like the show, just keep it to yourself. If you like it, though, let us know how much. Let us know over at Apple iTunes. Okay. Joe, a tale of two halves is something we heard. I don't think it emphasizes enough what Syracuse pulled off yesterday against Notre Dame. The Orange outscored the Irish 42-12 to finish the game after trailing by 20 with 16:49 left to go. An amazing 180 turnaround. They improved to 12-6, 7-5 in the ACC. You'll hear from us. We'll hear from you in fan feedback. The Orange will travel to Duke with a scheduled tip at 7 o'clock. And Dan Hamer, he'll join us. He is from the SULaxPod. He'll give us a quick rundown of today's 18-11 loss to Army. Bit of a disappointment. In a new segment, this lacrosse season, we call it Hamer Time. Seriously original stuff there. Original stuff. So, anyways, this series with Army sits at 41-27 in favor of Army. So, and I spoke with Dan yesterday, and he said, the Syracuse lacrosse team's going to face Army tomorrow, probably be the toughest game. So he said a good gauge for the Syracuse lacrosse team will be against UVA next Saturday. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, they looked good in the beginning of the game, right?
They looked really good. So, yeah, but then they didn't. So,
yeah. Well, I looked at a little bit of the previews and stuff, and they said something about how our defense is going to be a big deal there, and our goalie was so close right there so many times.
Yeah, he's just a split second behind some of those. Syracuse moves to 51st in KenPom and 46 in the net after the win. And by the way, just for the sake of, bringing it up, Louisville lost 99-54 against UNC 3 days after the postponed Syracuse game, which begs me to wonder. 3 days after. So either they could have told us before we traveled there, or we could have played the game. That's the way it appears to me.
No. It's all about the rules.
What was it though?
Well, they had a positive test, so they have it's kind of pause, stops, do the contact tracing, and make sure that everyone else gets a negative test, and then once you get a negative test and everyone else is cleared to play. So it seems to me like they just had a positive test, and then they did the contact tracing, they did another test, and there was enough negative tests for them to be able to play this game.
Okay. So that span of 3 days it took to just test and contact trace. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, they got their asses kicked. So
yeah, they did.
It just goes to show you how bad, really, how important it really is to be in game situations and playing on a consistent basis rather than having these pauses and just practicing. It's just important to play. And we saw that in the first half of the game yesterday against Notre Dame. Syracuse going a week without playing. In fact, let's do. We're doing something a little different today. I'm going to let Buddy lead it off. Buddy, leading off the presser.
Okay.
It was just up and down. I mean, it was a game of two halves, two completely games. It felt like, first half we just couldn't get stops. They were running on us. Our offense was stagnant. We weren't getting good looks. And then just the second half was a completely different game, starting with the press. The press did us just a great job for us and was big for us. We got steals, deflections, and made them rush, made them take shots that, they probably would have used some clock before they took it. So just getting stops, getting out running, and it was just a lot of fun, and just proud of guys like Rob and, taking the charge, getting rebounds. Quincy got it going. He was more aggressive, attacking, and, Marek was Marek, making plays for everyone, just being the guy we need him to be. And Kadari was also great, and it was just a lot of fun. And, it's a big win for us. We needed to win that, and, we never gave up. We always, down 18, down 20, whatever it was, we just fought and stayed together.
29 points, a career high. What was working for Buddy in all aspects?
Well, everybody has face guarded him, and it's really been hard for him to get shots. I mean, he's shooting 50% on open threes. The problem is we can't get him any open threes. In the second half, throwing it out of the rebound, we got him a three and 2 times, and then we got him one in the first half that way, and then we got him 2, and then Marek got him a handoff for a wide open 3. So it was guys getting him the ball when he's set. Everybody knows, you make more threes when you're spotting up, and he's probably a 50% three-point shooter from spot-ups, but he's not getting many of those.
Hey, Jim, I wanted to ask how the NCAA tournament bubble picture factored into this. Like, is that something you talked about at halftime, or just kind of...
Steven, you can stop right there. We never talk about it, ever, and we will never talk about it. You talk about it. We do not. We try to play the next game, and that's all we do. I just can't believe we got the stops we got, that the press worked so well. I was hoping the press would work a little bit. It worked a lot better than that. It got our aggression going on defense. We were more aggressive defensively. We moved better. They weren't just missing shots. We weren't giving them shots. We were not giving them shots. We were just really doing a great job of not giving them shots. And that's hard to do against a team like Notre Dame. To put those numbers up against them, that's one of the biggest surprises of this or any year. I'm still shocked by what this team did today. This is no aspersion, casting aspersion on Jalen Johnson. I haven't even seen Jalen Johnson play this year, to be honest. He's a tremendous player, probably be a great pro. I just made the observation, my opinion, that I thought they played better without him in those 2 games. Jay Billis said that they're a better team without him, permanently. I didn't say that, and I didn't mean to say that. Just in those 2 games, game and a half, they were a better team than I've seen this year. Nothing against Jalen Johnson. Some people have said he shouldn't have left school. I didn't say that. Some people have said he's not thinking about his team. I didn't say that. I don't even know Jalen Johnson. I don't even haven't seen him that much. I don't even know how good he is. And Duke could be better if he was back. We'll not know that because he didn't come back. But I was not trying to downgrade Jalen Johnson in any way, shape, or form. And Jay Billis is flat wrong if he thinks I did that. I didn't. I made an honest evaluation. We're playing Duke Monday. This was Thursday. That I think Duke's playing the best that they've played. Period. That's all.
All right, the coach montage is brought to us by BetOnline, the title sponsor for the Cuse Militia and Armchair Media. We're going to reverse engineer that coach montage after this. What, Joe?
None.
Okay, here we go. It seems like coach is always in the middle of some kind of storm, and here we are. Another day, another storm. So, as it were, football is over. Professional basketball, college basketball, NHL, NASCAR. You're breaking up. They're all in full swing. BetOnline, they even cover awards, TV shows, and reality TV, real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. Everybody loves free. Head over there, use your mobile device today, and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use the promo code ARMCHAIR. That's a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code ARMCHAIR. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Thank you, BetOnline. Okay, Joe. So, it's you do have to be. So Coach was on. Let's put this in context. Let's put this in total context for anybody who hasn't heard it. This was his comments when Matt Park asked him about Duke and their situation. It's just a basic question, an upcoming game that Syracuse is about to play.
Kind of rocky season that they have had. They had a young man opt out this week. What do you make of the Blue Devils?
They flipped it around. That guy was hurting them, so they actually are much better now. Without him, he was just doing some things and keeping other people from playing that are good. So they've had 2 monster wins since he's opted out.
Okay, so that's that, all right? It seemed harmless, not premeditated, but you have to be careful when you're talking about student athletes on what you say and how you say it, right? Fair enough? That's fair enough, right? Okay, so just, ironically, Duke goes out and beats number 7 Virginia last night by 1 point at home. Okay? Okay, Jalen Johnson's not playing. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. Okay, so, the idea that, and look, I see both sides of this argument, okay? I really do, and I think that you can make an argument for, and this isn't even what Coach is saying, but this is kind of how it was, Coach criticizing him for his move or whatever, or saying that he's no good. Look, he's making a simple observation. The idea that we cannot make observations or be truthful, even though we're talking about student athletes, is absurd. Okay? Right. They put themselves out there. They make those decisions. Is it a business decision for Jalen Johnson? Did he quit? I think you can make an argument for both. And 2 things can be true at the same time. It could be a business decision, and he could have just said, you know what, I'm done. It could be both, guys. Yeah. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Right, Joe? Yeah. So
and sometimes the marriages really don't work, right? So
true.
It's a situation where maybe he wasn't getting along with Coach, maybe he wasn't getting along with the teammates.
And we're speculating there. We're speculating.
And we are, but needless to say, like he said, it was an observation where when he was out there, he was trying to do too much and do some things from a coaching observation, and that's really all that is. That's an opinion from a coach from the outside looking in, and I just think that nowadays, too many times, things are said, and instead of asking questions for context, there's just people that just jump to conclusions and make their own kind of story out of it. So that's really what this is, and it sucks because, like you said, I mean, he's kind of old school. He doesn't do the PC thing, and he's going to say it how he sees it, and he should be able to have that opinion, but he just gets lambasted.
Dude, like, ridiculous. Remind me again, Joe, where did Jay Billis go to college? Where did he play ball at?
Duke.
Okay. So maybe...
And let's not pretend like him and Coach K aren't, like, really good friends.
Talking about Jim. Talking about Coach.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so...
absolutely. Sure. Okay, and does anybody think, within earshot of my voice right now, that Coach Boeheim's going to go on his radio station, or radio show that he knows everybody's listening to, and lambast a player from another team who the coach is best friends with?
Right.
No.
This is honest observation, like he said.
It is, and it's just unfortunate, and it was innocent, and I think that it's dumb. I think we are making a controversy where there is not one. I heard
like he got killed today because of him trying to defend himself.
At the presser, the part that we played.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that stuff's never going to end, and no. A coach should just continue to be coach. And simple observations like that, I think we are treading in ridiculous territory when we've gone now 3 days, 4 days now. You said it happened today too, so we're going on 4 days of this crap.
Yeah,
like, come on, do we have nothing else to report on?
Especially considering the fact that, like, there's probably a lot of coaches that would have the same opinion, and who knows if Coach K even agrees with it. I mean, obviously there was a difference of what was going on there, and it didn't work out, so who knows? But at the end of the day, I mean, considering what happened yesterday in our game, and the fact that he had to, like, explain himself for the last minute of that presser, and then
4 minutes.
Today he gets crushed more because of it. Like there's a bigger story there. We were down 20 and came back and won. Like,
yeah,
why are we talking about that?
Because it's gossip and it's dramatic and it's controversial, apparently, supposedly, allegedly. And so That's what we're going to do. And I think it's dumb. I just want to throw it out there. And by the way, I said something on Twitter today about, basically what I was saying is that Duke coming out and winning kind of proved Coach's point. Winning last night against UVA proved Coach's point, right? Well, then all of a sudden I agree with his comments. Well, you know what? I don't disagree with his comments. At the end of the day, I don't care. At the end of the day, those comments are harmless. They're meant to be harmless. It's an observation. What do I care? Seriously, I don't care. I don't. If the media turns that into, if they just let it go and that's a show, we probably don't even know about this. We're not even talking about it. So I don't care because it's a nothing burger. All right, next order of business. Stephen Bailey, poor Stephen Bailey, man, in the pressers, bro. He just talk about someone who gets lambasted. You would think though that Coach is not talking about being a bubble team at halftime. Just my opinion.
They don't talk about that stuff. Yeah.
Come on. You got to come up. You got to come up with something better than that, Steven.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I mean, he knows what he's going to get with that. So
absolutely.
Who knows? Sometimes people they ask questions, and I wonder if they just do that to just see what they're going to trigger.
To see if they can get a soundbite, which I took and put on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much something like that. Yeah,
it's a waste of time and space inside of a press conference. So if he has
come on, he knows that.
I know he's got to know. He's got to know, right? He must. That's my point. He's got to know. Come on, Steven. Come on, man. All right.
Rooting for you, bro.
Buddy Boeheim. What an amazing performance yesterday for Buddy. Probably his best game, I think. Obviously scoring a career high, 29 points, shooting 10 for 19 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3. Just an amazing performance right when we needed him. And James put out a interesting tweet. I think it was this morning. He said a storyline that continues to emerge toward the end of Syracuse's season. Buddy Boeheim is shooting 50% from deep over his past 5 games. He's 16 for 32 from behind the arc. The Orange are 7-1 when he makes 3 or more threes in a game. So what can you say about Buddy, Joe? And, talk about someone who gets lambasted as well. Buddy's one of them. And because he's Coach's son, and he hasn't been very consistent, to say the least, at times. But, we saw Joe step up last week. Now he gets lambasted for what he did, missing the layup, which was ugly. But, he gets to sit, and out comes Robert Braswell and Kadari Richmond, and then you've got Buddy, and all of a sudden they just tear this 20-point deficit down quick. I mean, as quick as it could go. And Buddy Boeheim was in fuego, could not miss, and basically just tore him up. I mean, he tore him up.
Yeah. I like how you keep, using the word that I brought up, by the way. That lambasted.
Lambasted, yes, I like that. That's what I do. That's what I do every Thanksgiving to my turkey. I lambaste it.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, no, that team that they had there, obviously you saw we didn't sub after that. I mean, Joe Girard and Alan Griffin, they sat the last 14 minutes pretty much, and you saw that press work. We sped Notre Dame up like Buddy talked about, and that's kind of what we needed to do. We got them off their game. They took some fast shots that they normally probably wouldn't. And Buddy, 20 points in the second half. I mean, what else really can you say? 10 and 19. He was hot. Mark, he made some shots, and Kadari came in and did what he did. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's tough. I'm sure there's a lot of people at halftime that didn't. I mean,
there was people shutting off the games. There was people I saw who,
my dad was like, I don't know if I can watch second half, man.
I wasn't looking forward to it, but at halftime it was 14 points, and I'm thinking, well, this isn't looking good. It is not looking good, and
of course.
I was hoping that Mike Bray's shit-eating grin the entire first half was probably one of the most obnoxious things to have to endure for that. But a 14-point deficit going into the locker room and then not playing great in the first 4 minutes of the second half, they extend the lead to 20. Joe Girard makes a beautiful steal, heads to the basket and misses a freaking layup. And you're just like, okay, well, I tweeted, I said, we're done. This is it. This is the story of the day. And Joe missing a layup after a steal sums it up, and we're done. I didn't think we were going to come back to win, but I didn't shut it off. I mean, I would never do that. But yeah, there's people who came on Twitter or whatever and said, I shut it off. But I cannot believe, I went back and watched it. I could not believe that they pulled that off. And I mean, amazing.
So, well, then that's kind of like, again, that's kudos to coaching. I know that people
retire, Jim. Retire.
Yeah, retire. Yeah, but again, Alan Griffin and Joe Girard. Alan Griffin had some foul trouble. Had 2 blocks, led the team as far as in that category. They didn't kill us. They both went 2 for 6 from the floor. They both had 5 points. So you had 10 points, and they both ended up playing less minutes than Kadari Richmond. So it was kudos to coach. Like I said, and like I'm always going to say, I don't care who starts as long as coach makes the adjustments to the right players, and then those guys get those minutes.
Just credit to you too, real quick, while you're on that, was that you said Kadari's going to get extended minutes. You think Joe's going to start, but Kadari's probably going to get extended minutes because of some of the matchup issues that were presented in this game. And sure enough, that was the difference in Braswell with extended minutes. 16 minutes, did a great job, took a charge. It was a huge play, taking that charge. And I believe he had, what do you have? He had 3 points, but he had 5 rebounds. So played well.
And it was funny because my dad was like, we're going small and we're playing big. And I'm like, what do you mean we're going small? We took out Griffin, put in Braswell. Braswell's taller. Mm-hmm. And we brought in Kadari for Joe.
I would love your dad on some fan feedback, by the way.
Oh, God. No,
he's not on Facebook, is he?
No. Well, he is, but not like that. So, but either way, having that lineup in there, I mean, it brought athleticism. It brought just a wingspan, just lengthy players when you look at the players that were out there. And like I said, kudos to coach to make that call and to keep them in there. Because I thought that at some point he was going to make a change. Okay, we came back, we made the run. Now we're ahead a little bit, so we're going to slow down and we're going to bring in these guys. And kudos for him keeping in the 5 players that got him there.
Yeah. So and hey man, it doesn't always work, but when it does, you look like a freaking genius. So the right thing was done there.
You had to do something.
Tough decision. All right, it's time to hear from you.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
You guys know what to do. At the end of every game, I'm going to ask for your thoughts. You go there on the socials, Twitter, at Cuse Militia on Twitter, Facebook, and, well, that's pretty much it. Ask for your thoughts. By the way, just out of because I mentioned it, Facebook is, I'm about, I don't know, just this close, Joe, if you can see that. That's very close. My finger's almost touching. See that? That's how close I am to just saying screw it. The Facebook page isn't working because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay? I don't know if it's because...
But then we can't go live.
That's true. Damn it. Facebook.
They win again. Zuckerberg.
I have deleted my personal Facebook page, and you can't have I can't have the Cuse Militia page without my personal page. So I've just taken all the pictures off of it and all the posts as much as I could so far. And I just have the Cuse Militia stuff because I just cannot stand Facebook. And Twitter's, I feel like people see our stuff. Let's put it that way.
Right.
All right. Top fan on Facebook, Robert. First of all, that was an amazing comeback. Hats off to these guys. Great defense. It seems every time their schedule gets interrupted, they have a rough first half. Man, what a great win. Yeah, well, look at Louisville. I mean, we were 1 week. Louisville was about 2.5 weeks, and they got walloped, to say the least. Top fan David on Facebook. Wow, just wow, big win. Have faith in these guys going forward. If we make the tournament, we can shock the world. Well, let's see. we are. That definitely helps. It definitely helps. But as James points out, and these are his numbers. So if they're wrong, well, blame James. Here's the quadrant breakdown as of now. Normally Joe does this, but he's been quite lazy lately, and he has not done the legwork on this. So we'll just steal it from James Zuba on Twitter.
No shame.
James Zuba on Twitter. Go there, get the stats. Quadrant 1. Well, let's start right here. Quad 4 wins. We're 4-0. Excellent. Quad 3, 6-1. Could be better. Quad 2, 3-1. Not terrible. Quad 1, 0-4. We do not have a Quad 1 win, and we had an opportunity. I feel like a tragic missed opportunity against Louisville, judging by what I saw last night.
You're not lying.
Yeah, so, they were still hovering around. They're still be there because they were in the 30s. They were 34. They got to be a 75 for us being on the road would still be a Quad 1 game. So,
yeah.
Top fan Jesse on Facebook. Great comeback. The reason I sound so negative all the time is we get flashes of how great this team can be, and it's frustrating. Buddy was great for 2 halves for the first time ever. Kadari, Buddy, Mark were fantastic in the second half. I think one thing that hurts us the most that we can control is our shot selection. Griffin and Gerard sometimes take bad shots, and then alongside size is why I like Kadari and either Buddy or Woody. Kadari hasn't shot a 3 in the past 5 games, so I like how he's adjusted and just started driving. So, all right, quickly. Shot selection for Joe Girard and Alan Griffin. Yes, I think Alan's getting better. Joe wasn't terrible in the last game. Actually, he barely shot the ball against Notre Dame. He shot the ball 6 times. He was 2 for 6, 1 for 2 from 3. Mm-hmm. So, if you're going to point out the guys that do it, it's them, I think. But Kadari, he knows his shot's not the 3. I think he's made it clear. I think Coach has made it clear for him in the press conferences. Yeah. So
I think that Coach makes it clear to these players what he expects them to do, and if you kind of do your own thing and go against what he's saying, then you might not be in there. And we have depth now to where if you're not doing what he expects you to do, then he's going to make the change. So I think that has a lot to do with that.
I would agree.
And I think that as far as Woody Newton's concerned, I know that he did have a couple games where he did play well and everything like that. I just think that with Braswell in the game that he played and just the fact that we haven't seen Woody Newton and some of the, rumors and everything like that, I would just be, wait to see.
Cautiously
Woody,
optimistic.
But, yeah.
To say the least on that one,
yes,
I think.
Yes.
Top fan. All the top fans getting in on it. Michael on Facebook. Glad I stuck with it and watched the whole game. Michael, yes. Facts.
Yes.
You don't want to be that guy going back and having to rewatch it after you know they already won. How exciting is that? It's not.
Like I said, my dad was at halftime saying, I don't know if I can watch the second half. I'm like, Dad, 14 points. We go on a 5 to 7 point run. We can make it, and then the first 4 minutes happened, and that was even more difficult. But as soon as we started pressing, had that lineup in there, totally different team.
How about the press too, Joe? For the first time this year, I think, well, not for the first time, definitely for the first time this year, it worked. And
to work that well for so long. To work
that long. You're right. Let's specify. So it has worked in spurts, but that was an extended amount of time, and it worked really good. They did a great job.
And Coach talked about that in the presser about how he still couldn't believe it. And when you really look back at the scheme of things of like comeback games and everything, obviously everyone's going to look at like Virginia and the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 or whatever it was, right? But that today or yesterday had similar moments to that. it really did feel kind of, I mean, obviously we weren't in the tournament and, the stakes weren't so high, but that was the type of game, like that game felt like that Virginia game.
Yeah, absolutely. Did. Michael, same Michael, top fan Michael, he's got a buy seller hold. But we're going to hit that. We're going to hit that up after this, and we'll hear from Dan Hamer of the SULaxPod in a segment we call Hamer Time. We'll be right back.
Not the way we thought it'd go. That's the theme for today. We saw Syracuse lose to Army 18-11 in men's lacrosse. Season opener for Syracuse, Army into their third game, and it definitely showed today. Couple stats about the game. Army came in ranked number 12. Syracuse came into the game ranked number 4. Army also went on a 16-5 run to close the game. Syracuse was up 6-2 going into the second, but Army just dominated after that. Made a couple of adjustments on defense and offense and took advantage of some Syracuse mistakes. Army's transition game probably accounted for about 60% of their goals. It felt like when they needed momentum, that's where they got it. Army didn't win a lot of faceoffs, but when they got possession, they controlled the clock and dominated that. Like I said, we're going to get into more of that on the SULax podcast. Follow the show on Twitter at SULaxPod and also on the Facebook page if you search SULax.
All right, a couple more things real quick. Look, you like sneakers, Dro? You like sneakers?
Sure.
Do you or don't you?
Play your game.
Do you or don't you?
Sure,
You'll play my game. You'll play my game. Golly. You are something else. Whether rare dead stock or the latest release, find the exact shoe you're looking for on eBay as the original sneaker marketplace. eBay is the place to go to cop a pair you've been eyeing. And with eBay's authenticity guarantee, a team of independent professional authenticators perform a rigorous inspection of the sneakers before you purchase them and before they're sent to you. They're probably not going to do it before you purchase them, probably though before they send them to you. So you can shop confidently knowing your pair is the real deal. And for the sneaker sellers out there, eBay has eliminated selling fees on sneakers 100 plus, making it free to sell or flip your collection. With other sites taking as much as 25%, you're going to have a lot of extra money left for more sneakers. Joe loves them.
Yay!
Check out ebay.com/sneakers today. Go there. Check them out. By the way, Armchair giving away some sneakers here shortly. I'll get that stuff up on the socials eventually.
I might look at that, actually.
Probably should have already done it. If you're going to buy sneakers, do yourself a favor. Go over to ebay.com/sneakers. It's easy, bro.
Yeah.
I bought a pair of orange Air Force Ones. All orange Air Force Ones. Orange laces, everything. Okay?
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah, and they're nice, bro. And they came authentic, and they're good.
Well, I have to order my shoes online anyway, so.
PSA DNA. All right, no one cares, Joe. On to the next thing here. BetOnline, the title sponsor for the Cuse Militia and Armchair Media. Look, BetOnline, they cover award shows, TV shows, reality TV, even professional basketball, college basketball, the NHL, baseball, NASCAR. They cover it all, bro. They cover it all. So, real-time, updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all your news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bet, and it's free to sign up. Free, folks. Head over there on your mobile device today. Use the promo code ARMCHAIR and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use the promo code ARMCHAIR. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Thank you, BetOnline. Okay, let's get to Michael's buy, sell, or hold. Keep these coming, guys. Anytime you can think of this is an example of a good buy, sell, or hold. I love this. I'm going to give it to myself first. Okay? Sean, Notre Dame is Syracuse's ACC rival. Now, look. I'm going to answer myself now. This I do not know if I've said on the show, Joe, but I've definitely said it to you. That I think this is probably potentially a real good rivalry within the ACC. I know a lot of, especially younger guys, like to look at and gals, like to look at Duke as the rivalry, but Duke, UNC, Duke, I mean, how many rivalries can they have? How many can they own? So is it a rivalry for us and not them? I don't know. Is it a small rivalry? Sure, it is. But the way, and Michael goes to note, just look at all the tight games over the past few years. These games have been contentious. They have been ugly at times, and they have been close, and they've been hard fought. And I think that this is legit. I would, if I'm right now at this point, especially after, I would have bought this before yesterday, but after yesterday as well, I buy. So, Joe, how about you? Buy, sell, or hold? Notre Dame is Syracuse's ACC rival.
Hold.
Okay. You going to explain?
Sorry.
This isn't a lightning round.
I mean, I could. No, I just think that, with this whole Syracuse-Duke thing, and people have been trying to push that lately. Past couple of years, we've had a lot of close games against them, and obviously with Coach K and Jim knowing each other the way they do, and it's just funny that all this stuff is starting to just pop up in the news, right? Where Jim Boeheim's talking about Duke players and all this stuff, and we're about to play them. So it's funny. We'll see what happens after Monday. Probably answer that better after Monday.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just think that with the way that Syracuse has played Notre Dame the past couple of years, to his point, that I think you can make a good argument for it. And I've thought this before. Like I said, I don't know if we said it on the air, but I definitely said it to you. So
yeah, well, it makes sense because also they came from the Big East, so it's a team that obviously came over with us, and it kind of just happens to be our best rivalry from.
Pitt was a pretty good
teams
one.
Pitt was good too, but obviously we play them every year twice, and even in football every year. So they're definitely a rival as far as when you look at it through conference wise. But I think Notre Dame's definitely given us the closer games and the tougher games since we've joined the ACC.
Top fan here on Facebook, our buddy. God bless Buddy and Mark. I knock on Buddy more than anyone, but man, this kid works hard, and I'm so happy he got this game. Kadari, game changer. Braswell, game changer. The fact that they made this comeback without Gerard and Griffin is very telling. This was an awesome win versus the hottest team in the league. Can't stand Hub, but love the kids' swagger. Just an incredible win. That is effort. Effort is free. That's right, Mahir. That is true. And there's a T-shirt to prove it over at Cuse Nation Teespring.
Yes, sir.
So the hottest team in the league, they were trending. They were trending there.
6-8, man.
Yeah.
And we talked about the losses they've had. I mean, a lot of the losses they've had were against really good teams.
Yes, all of them. Power
5 teams.
Yeah.
All of them, Power 5.
The other thing that I saw in here, Prentice Hub, dude. I cannot stand him. I have said off the air how many times this kid rubs me the wrong way. That's why I loved the Joe Girard handoff last year to him. He's chippy. I like that about any player, and I can respect that. But and I'm sure he's a fine young man. But you have to have someone that you don't like, and Hub's mine. Grayson Allen, he's not Grayson Allen level, but he's up there. So anyways, let's see. At David Super on the Twitter, we miss having a full 30K packed dome, especially how this game would have unfolded. It would have been wild. No question. No question.
No.
I mean, what can you even say? I mean, it's not.
The broadcasters alluded to that as well. Like, obviously, we know anybody that's been in that stadium or dome during a close game,
yes,
right, and even something like that, like a comeback, like that would have been ridiculous. Those threes,
electric.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. At one, Kev Nash, I give him from Twitter. I give him this because he gives us his top 5 every week, and I love it. I think it's great. 1, tale of 2 halves, duh. 2, Buddy got hot and stayed hot. 3, Q was off, but love the way he was on the glass. 4, stat stuffer by Dolezaj. 5, respect the defense from Richmond and Braswell. Go #GoCuse. So, like I said, a tale of two halves. I don't think he usually is, which is why he gets the cheer. So my favorite thing out of this though was Q, because he didn't do a lot. He didn't do a lot to add points. And I had 9 points, but he almost had a double, a quiet 9 really. And with 14 rebounds, he had 14 out of the 36. And that's how Syracuse is going to win games. They have to get the rebounds.
That's been the common denominator.
Absolutely. And how about everybody? Guerriere 2 for 2, Dolezaj 6 for 6, Boeheim 3 for 3. There wasn't a ton of 11 for 11 from the line. Not a ton of fouls being called in this one.
No, they let them play. Yeah, that was my whole thing. Was that there are some games where you have officials or you have crews where Quincy Guerriere is going to get so many more free throws because he attacked.
Oh my gosh, he was fouled 100 times down there.
But as long as they're calling it like that and they're saying, okay, play on, and they're giving us the same respect on the other end, then that's just a different crew calling it a different way. But there are some crews where they would have called, Juwan Durham would have been fouled out.
It's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Syracuse too. They're killing it in the free throw department right now. It's kind of really it's unbelievable. So I was just about
compared
to
what
look
it
this
used
up.
to be.
I think they were at 80. They were at 80%, and they're right about 80% still. So still trending up.
First in the ACC.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, we were talking about how bad our free throws were.
Yeah, 2 years ago, right? Because last year they weren't terrible, but the year before that wasn't great. At K Nabiwaniak, what an awesome comeback, and they did it with defense.
You always read that.
Shut up, Joe. And they did it with defense and some incredible shooting from Buddy. Goodbye, JG3. Hello, Kadari again. Well, look, the defense was so shredded in the first half. To see it come out to be very defensively turned around in that game, and especially with the press and stuff, that's a feat. That defense was night and day from what it was, and they just rattled them. And
they had to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They had to. We talked about how experienced this team is, as far as juniors and seniors all over the place, smart players. Notre Dame, So they moved the ball around in the half court so well against us and got their shots every single time. So. Putting the guys in that he did and run the press, it had to be done because, again, could we have done that and they could have continued to hit shots and just kill us? Yes. But at some point we had to change it up. And I know there's some people that say, oh, go to man. That's pretty much what we're going to see from Boeheim. If he's going to change it up, he's just going to go full court, just hardcore, like he did in, the Virginia game back when we won the tournament game and like he did against Notre Dame. And sometimes you hit enough shots to where that works.
Yeah, Buddy doesn't hit the shots. It doesn't even make a difference.
Right, exactly.
So, at Tony Staffieri, it's a make and miss game. High major guys can hit open shots. Glad to see the adjustment in the zone in the second half as Notre Dame got very few open looks. Yeah, and they were killing them. If you would have told me that Syracuse was really going to come out on top as a better 3-point shooting team after the first half, I'd have laughed in your face. There's no way.
No, dude. They had open looks though.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
they did. But they missed them.
Yeah,
they had open looks. There was guys that didn't miss in the first half. They didn't miss in the first half. Let's be honest.
No, they
not only
missing.
did we not play great defense, but they did not miss, and they got so cocky and full of themselves, and they came out and they started to do it again in the beginning, and then we changed it up, and things changed. And as soon as we got into single digits and started hitting shots, you could tell the pressure. You could tell that Notre Dame felt the pressure, and they were forcing shots and getting sped up and taking shots that they normally wouldn't take just because they beat the press, and they were still missing. So. That's the only way that you're going to get that kind of comeback when you're down that much.
At Nick Dusky on Twitter, thoughts? JG3 this isn't Class B anymore, and your lack of athleticism shows you need to transfer to a non-Power 5 school. Also, focus on making the lay, not trying to draw the N1. Did he try to draw an N1? It sure looked like it to me. That's or just a foul in general. You got to make that shot, though.
Well,
I totally agree with that. But he scored 22 points. What was it? 22 points in the last game.
He's just, again, it's inconsistency. That's when you're talking about like a tale of two halves, right? Like, obviously, there's a reason why
23 points in the last game.
So, the reason why you play two halves, right? But a tale of two halves is, that's how you can change it. You can turn it around. You can have some guy that's playing like crap and turn it around and they can score 20 points in the second half. And I'm not saying that was Buddy because I know he had 9 in the first half, but I'm just saying that it goes game to game and there is inconsistency. And that's one of our biggest things I think that's one of the most frustrating things as far as fans can see is that you see these spurts where we look so good. Like we look like a top 25 NCAA tournament team. And then all of a sudden we pull like a first half like against Notre Dame and we're like, oh, what is going on?
Yeah, and they just came out, it was bad. They just came out lazy, tired, flat, and slow. And
that's what it looked like, right?
Yeah.
No energy,
which is...
no aggressiveness.
Yeah. So, which speaks to this here, the Party Cactus on Twitter. It felt like the comeback was directly related to energy and athleticism on the floor at the time, which speaks very highly of Braswell and Richmond. Yeah, Coach with the tough decision to put those guys in when they were needed the most, and that was pointed out too by I forget. I don't think it was in fan feedback, but it was a good point. And if I think of it before I end here, I will give credit. But it was a great point that I saw on social media. So he makes the tough decision to do that. They get in the game, and he sticks with them. And they make a difference, and it ended up being the obvious great call. When you make a call like that and it works, it's obvious, right? When you make a call like that and it doesn't work, then, you look like an idiot. Right? Well, why was Allen and Joe on the bench? Because that's what we would have heard if it happened, if it worked the other way. So, because you can't please everybody.
100%. Right.
Yeah.
He had to make a change. He had to do something. He put in basically between Dolzai and Braswell and Guerrier and Kadari Richmond, you're talking about 4 guys between the height of 6'7" to 6'10" that's got ridiculous wingspan, athletic, and then you got Buddy in there who's obviously got some size as well. Like, we had a long team out there that were pressing, and once we got the momentum, man, obviously you saw what happened. So,
at Nick Goodman 18 on Twitter, season is still alive. The way they played in the second half was incredible, and that's why we have been so frustrated with this team this season, because they are capable of playing like that. Also, Notre Dame became human and started missing shots. Yeah, that sums it up right there. The reason we are so hard on this team, the reason I think that I'm so hard on Buddy and Joe is because we've seen what they can do. They are this good. And to your last point on the last comment, it's all about consistency, but some of it has to do with just being able to have the matchups that you want. Prentice Hub was shutting Joe down. He was all over him. He didn't have a shot. And
it's a good point that you bring up is the fact that like our offense, and I can understand the fans' frustration with offense, because when we're in our half court offense, it seems like it is like nothing. It seems like it's pick and roll, try to it's either hero ball or it's pick and roll and try to get like a one-on-one just advantage, and there's not a lot of movement and not a lot of passing. There's a lot of standing around. This last, again, we won because of the press and the fact that once we got steals and once we got rebounds and forced quick shots, we got down court and we got buckets before they could get their defense set. So it really just depends. To me, it's coaches making the right calls. Like I said, I don't care who starts as long as he makes the right substitutions and the right calls during in-game, obviously, decisions, then I'm cool with it. And he did exactly that.
quick turnaround for Duke and Syracuse. Both haven't played Saturday night. Syracuse is going to travel to Cameron Indoor tomorrow, Joe, Monday at 7 p.m. The all-time series sits at 10-6 in favor of Duke. The Orange are currently on a 3-game losing streak against Duke. The last game a year ago in February, a 97-88 loss in the Dome. Dolezaj with 22 points and Hughes with 21 points. Duke, they're currently 10-8 and 8-6 in the ACC. Duke is currently also on their own win streak of 3 games after beating UVA by 1 point last night at home. Not a very big team, Joe, besides 7-foot freshman center Mark Williams, but he's only averaging around 11 minutes a game.
From your neck of the woods.
Maybe look for him to play a little bit more against us, though. Maybe. I don't know. You'll tell me. The one guy that really worries me is 6'9" sophomore forward Matthew Hurt. He's averaging 18.5 points a game. He scored a game-high 22 against Virginia last night, and he's shooting 47% from behind the arc. 47%. 45 for 96. He's crushing it. Duke is 30th in KenPom and 55th in the net, making this a quad 1 game for Syracuse on the road. By the way, I've talked about the algorithm of, not the formula, I should say, of KenPom compared to the net. I think it's more accurate. So for what it's worth, just a dramatic difference. You don't see that dramatic of a difference sometimes from KenPom to the net. So that's why I compare them. Joe, this is somewhat a newly brewing rivalry. We talked a little bit about this for Syracuse fans, mostly younger Syracuse fans. It's definitely one of the games that we all look at and circle on our calendars every year. And at the beginning to midway through this year so far watching Duke, I didn't think they were going to be able to recover from some of the poor showings that they've had, but here we are. So they're turning it around just in time, which obviously does not bode well for us. The one thing we do have going for us, if anything, heading into Cameron Indoor is that there's not going to be any fans. So take it for what it's worth. What else, Joe?
Well, so Duke, it's weird right now because when you're looking at where they are and you're looking at their schedule and where they are, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Coach K kind of canceled their non-conference a little bit. So they only played 4 non-conference games in which they lost to Illinois and Michigan State. They beat Bellarmine and Coppin State, but they canceled all the rest of their non-conference games. So you're talking about a team that only has 4 non-conference games, and the rest has basically been in conference. But, yeah, this is still a team that is going to give us problems. I do agree with you when you talk about Matthew Hurt, freshman DJ Stewart, also can shoot a pretty good 3-point ball as well. And although they are inexperienced, they are kind of dripping with talent. And even, again, when they played against Virginia, Jamin Brakefield, who's another freshman, 6'8" freshman, he's been getting the minutes that Jalen Johnson kind of gave up when he opted out. And this is a talented team. It's just they're young and they're still trying to figure it out. And honestly, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, you're more nervous now than you were 3 weeks ago, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and that was kind of my point.
Because it is still Duke,
right? Yeah, I mean, I'm always nervous for Duke. Look, when we talk about the rivalry thing, for something to be a rivalry, you can't get your ass whooped every time. And not that that's been happening, but the past 3 games haven't been like extremely close or anything. And it's been tough. The last time we beat them was when they were number 1, and we went to Cameron Indoor and beat them as an unranked team. It was the first time that ever happened. So.
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like they're not an unbeatable team.
Oh, they're beatable, sure, but you're looking at Coach Krzyzewski really is very good at coaching against the zone. Out of all the coaches that we face, he probably knows it the best, I think, at least in the ACC. I think if and plus, obviously, he's a great coach. So, that's one thing that always worries me is how well coached they are, and they can be down too and come back as well. So the game's never over. And they've had some poor showings this year. They've had some bad games, to say the least. No. So
Well, they're still trying to figure it out. Again, they have a lot of the freshman guards. They got Jordan Goldwire, who's a senior guard that has been there for a while, and he plays great defense. And you bring in the freshman guards of Jeremy Roach and DJ Stewart and Wendell Moore Jr. last year as a freshman. He played well, and there were some people that thought he was going to go to the league. Matthew Hurt, he can pretty much shoot from anywhere. And then obviously with them losing Jalen Johnson, now other people are coming in, and you can see Coach K kind of messing with the lineup a little bit. And he didn't even start Goldwire this past week, this past game, just to kind of see what the freshmen were going to do. But it's going to be interesting one way or another. It's just you don't really know what to expect because it's still a team that's growing and trying to figure out roles and stuff like that. So, but the talent's there. It's just whether or not they can figure it out. Yeah, and a good 2-3 zone, sure, and some good movement. It could kind of befuddle them for a little while, and hopefully we can score on them and kind of get a good lead. Hopefully this last game kind of gets our spirits up, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely hoping for a little bit of a confidence booster, and you've got two teams that are coming in hot, both on 3-game win streaks, and the confidence I think could be there for Syracuse too, but you can't let the other team get in your head, and I feel like that's kind of what Syracuse does sometimes, and I think that not having fans, obviously, I think I would honestly rather have the Cameron Crackheads in the stands rather than not weird. There. I know.
Well, it's weird. Even with Duke, it's weird with us because no matter what they've been ranked, no matter how good they've been, it seems like since we joined the ACC, there's good games. Like I've come to a point where I feel like no matter how good Duke is, we can play them good enough to win the game. Unlike even like a North Carolina. Like North Carolina, if they're good, they got good big men, and I mean, I'm not really looking forward to that game. But as far as Duke goes, because of the way that we played them, no matter what the ranking is, we always have a shot. And because of where they are this year, like we definitely have a shot. So this isn't just a normal Duke team where you're like, let's see what happens. We might get our ass kicked.
So it's a little bit more unknowns in there, I think.
Oh, a lot more.
I think it's fair
so
to
that's
say,
why,
yeah.
like, if we don't, if this isn't a close game or if we can't win this game, that just tells you how good the talent is over there at Duke. Because
the last 3 games too separated by 9 points, 12 points, and 9 points. So
no, they've won their last 3.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about our games with Duke. But yeah, they've won their last 3. But they, Notre Dame beat them. They had 3-game losing streaks here, since January 12th. So Virginia Tech, Pitt, Louisville, and then Miami, North Carolina, Notre Dame. So anyway, yeah, all right. Look, so we had taken our best guesses on the Notre Dame game. Joe, you had 79-74, and I had 72-68. So I didn't do too bad, actually. I didn't do too bad. I think I'm going to take that one.
Well, how do you win that one?
I don't know.
How do you justify that?
How do I justify it? Because I had 68, they had 77. Win, right? I was off by 1 on their score, and I was off by 3 on Syracuse's score.
The next one is how close was it, right?
Well, on the spread, on the actual spread there, so 12 points.
Yeah,
12 points
I'll give you
to
that.
5 points.
I'll give you that. Yep, that's yours. It's close.
They were both good guesses. They were both good. So, which leads me to this. Quickly, Joe, a couple minutes left. What is your Duke prediction? Lay it on me. I'm going to let you go first this time.
74-68, Syracuse.
74-68, Syracuse. That's interesting. Okay. I'm going to go. Geez, guys. Duke always worries me. I don't ever come into a game thinking Syracuse is going to beat Duke. I got to be honest. I just don't. It makes it all that much better when they actually do. But That's not typically my mindset. And some of it has to do with my brother's a Duke fan. So it adds a little bit. It adds a little bit extra to it for me. And obviously, I eat it up. And I don't express it to him, but because he knows when Syracuse beats Duke, he knows, right? I don't need to tell him.
Right.
So it's a little sweeter for me, but the game worries me. The shooting worries me. The talent worries me. And I know I'll probably get lambasted for this. Or lambasted or whatever the hell it is. But I'm going to say 80-68 Duke. And
unbelievable.
And look, there is a little bit to this too, because when I'm look. Yeah, here's my justification. Sometimes when there's a game like this coming up, I try not to predict the win, okay? Because it's just one of those things, and it's sports. It's sports superstition for me, and I would rather be wrong and have Syracuse win this game than be right and have me hit the nail on the head with the score. Let's just put it that way, okay?
That's fair.
Okay, that's all we got for us. Unless Joe wants to add something more enlightening to this show, I think we're out of here. What do you think, Joe? You got something? You got some words of wisdom or anything?
SU women lost today to Virginia Tech.
Okay, that was not exactly what I was going for there, but we'll take it. So, Syracuse pulls off a huge upset yesterday. Syracuse Lacrosse looked like they were on their way to an easy matchup versus Army. They turn around, they get crushed. And then Syracuse women's lose. So there we are. There we have it. So anyways, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. If you've lasted this long, well, congratulations. Thank you to Bet Online. Thank you to eBay Sneakers. Thank you to Dan Hamer of SULaxPod. And for Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
That was a lot to stick in there at the end. I didn't think I was going to get it.